Absolutely. So, we also have a little bit more somber news and stuff like that for hitting the block. We definitely wanted to send out our condolences over to Tamara King. This is a teacher, a business owner who was murdered this week, I believe on Monday. She was killed in her home. And, it's just very tragic when we lose people, especially people who are, benefiting the community and things like that. When I hear these stories, they always, they definitely upset, like they upset you, like you get a little bit upset. But I kind of, I kind of knew her. I used to see her on a regular basis. So she's pretty much like her business promotes fitness. So I would see her in Liberty Park. Anyone that knows me knows it's pretty much like my second home. So I see her out there running, stretching, doing everything she has to do. And she was also married to a friend of mine who, unfortunately, is he's been arrested for her murder. And you know, I never saw anything that would make me believe that he would be that type of person. And I think that that's probably what scares me just a little bit, and just to think when it comes to domestic violence and things like that, and how final these things can be. It's like you never know. So definitely prayers and wishes to their child, and to the rest of her family, and I'm going to pray for him as well, because I never thought that he'd be in this position.
Right, man. Absolutely, man. You want to pray for both of the families and
Yeah.
everybody that's affected by, this tragic loss. Because even with the children or the child, she lost both parents. And that's something that's irreplaceable in a whole bunch of questions. And hopefully, you guys are able to seek some type of mental health help for her, in this time that she's suffering. And also, just to the people out there that's living life and loving someone and having so much love for a person. Sometimes you gotta love a person and good well enough to let them go. You know what I mean? And that's just the maturity and also working out our own issues. It's tragic, and I hate to hear things like that,
Yeah.
especially involving Black love, man.
Yeah.
So let's just continue to pray for both of the families that's involved. And yeah.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah, that's very sad. To it's still early in the year.
Yeah.
We're just the beginning, first month of the year, and to start the year off um, with a tragedy like that, it's really hard to discuss. And I think one of the bigger things is the gun issue.
Mm.
In this city, in this country, there was a few mass shootings that also occurred
Yeah.
Yeah.
on this week, and it just makes you wonder, when is it going to end?
Well, we can definitely, argue the gun issue. But I just go back to the state of mind of us because it's us behind those triggers,
Yeah.
and, but behind us and those triggers are the things that trigger us. So those are the things that need to be worked out,
Indeed.
again,
Yeah, mental health
tragic,
is definitely
Yeah.
something, because no one wakes up and says that a person I lived for is something, someone
Right.
that I'm going to be able to ultimately take out.
Right.
Like it's that extremely thin line. You mix that with mental health.
Right.
You mix that with possession,
Right.
control, and
Right.
any other kind of things that come with it.
Right.
It's just very sad. This typically when we hear these stories, you see a picture of the person, you're like, all right, I can see that, or you can see
Right.
this, or you can see that, and then like it's like wow, it's like it could be the person that you've had lunch with, or a person that you just like sat across the table from, and you just never thought that was
Well,
inside
well,
of
I,
them.
well, I always say, man, I mean, we celebrate with each other, but you know what I mean? A lot of times we never ensure that we're okay.
Agreed.
Nobody really make that effort to say, yo, I care enough to truly care, right?
Yeah.
It becomes cliche. Hey, how are you? Do you really care? Because I got a rough day, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
most people don't really want the
No,
answer.
no,
Hey, how are you? That
Yeah.
was rhetorical.
right.
Let's
But,
continue. Yeah.
but again, my condolences to both of the families.
Yeah.
Moving forward, we're gonna reintroduce our guest. We here joined today. Got the privilege to be joined here today with Dr. Floyd Jeter. Peace, brother. I'm glad that you can make it on the show. You know what I
Peace,
mean?
brother.
Definitely, a big brother I admire. Great for you to be here. And one of the reasons why, I brought you here because, one, I want you to introduce yourself to the good people, but your story, you know what I mean? It's important that we recognize someone like you who, been through what you've been through, was able to survive and defy a lot of the odds and the stereotypes that have been bestowed on us, growing up where we grow up.
Wow, that's a lot. I don't think people realize that your beginnings don't dictate your endings.
Right.
And sometimes the area that we live in, a lot of people kind of cancel us.
Yeah.
Like they cancel culture, they try to cancel you prior to you even beginning. And me growing up in Jersey City, I wasn't given opportunities that was afforded to most. So sometimes you're cast aside, you're ostracized. You're not good enough. You don't fit the criteria that of someone who can be different. And sometimes where you grew up at, I grew up downtown Jersey City. I lived in the projects, Montgomery projects, and sometimes where you come from, your zip code, and it's funny, your zip code, people Google you by your zip code now and tell you, oh, that might be a problem.
Wow. Yeah.
07305, that's a problem. 07302, we could get rid, we could work with them. So I tell anybody when they're doing their resume, try not to put your zip code.
Wow.
Let the people meet you
That's
first.
crazy.
That's deep because
Wow.
I lived 07304, and when I had to move to 05,
Oof.
even though 4 ain't that much different from 5, but 5, that's south, it was like,
4 is the beginning of the problems. 5 is the ending of it.
right? So I didn't want to move. I was like, dang, I'm in the South District Police now. I want to go back I wanted to move back. So I never really thought about it like that. But yeah, you get canceled out just for where you live.
For those who don't know and familiar, we're talking about Jersey City and
Yes.
the Greenville area and all the other, the neighborhoods that people deem
The
the
hood.
Right. And well, Floyd, also talk about your journey and some of the accomplishments that you've gotten to.
It's funny, and I didn't even think about this until I met you earlier, Kalima, and you were like, you remember you used to do this. See, what has happened is sometimes when you put a big gap between your past and now,
Right.
you're like, you forgot, but I forgot being in the streets. I forgot living in the project. So a lot of people, this is gonna be the first time that I'm publicly saying this. Like I was in the streets. I've been in trouble.
Right.
But now I teach children, I teach juvenile delinquency at NJCU. What better to teach juvenile delinquency than a delinquent?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, absolutely.
now you're that
Yeah.
guy.
Right.
But sometimes, and I say this as skin folk ain't always kin.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
And those that came back to get me wasn't those that I thought would come get me. And we kind of alluded to that earlier.
Right.
But to have a support, and I say this is, my kids understand that I was present, but I had a presence.
Right.
So people got to realize presence is like it's good, but to have a presence, now you go into games, you know what they're going through, some of the things that they're letting you in because now you have that kinship. But also you're that disciplinarian.
Right.
Well, my wife more so. I'm like a punk, but more so that people are doing these things. However, I think we forget that the core element is sometimes you are the enemy. So you got to understand the enemy versus the enemy.
Right.
So the enemy, like the enemy, I-N-N-E-R,
Right.
sometimes that's the one that you fight with more than the enemy on the outside.
Right.
So hearing people saying you're not good enough, you're going to be dead or in jail. Those are the echoes that I've heard. You ain't going to ever come out of anything. To know what I know now. And to say, and Kalimo, me and you know each other outside of here, just to understand that we don't know many doctors.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Like grew up where we grew up at, but to be here and say it's still unreal to me. It's still not, cause it's like Dr. Jeter, like, yo, I'm just Jeter, man. Let's rock out, like. But sometimes you come into rooms where you wasn't privileged to before. You're part of conversations that no one had thought you would be in the same room.
Right.
But then you got a code switch because I can't be this there.
Right,
But what I've learned is to be authentically me and unapologetically me.
right.
I am who I am. I show up.
Right.
How do you, or I should say, how did you defy the odds? How did you come from the projects? Because people already have, like you said about the zip code, already have a negative connotation about the projects. How do you come from the projects? And I'm sure there was adversity, there was so many hurdles that you had to travel to then be now the man that you are today. You said that there's a separation from who you are, right?
Right.
But how do you defy those odds?
Had a praying mother. So you always hear about praying grandmother, praying mother.
Right.
But I had, and I say this is, most men don't understand that for me, I had a black woman, a wife who rocked out with me. Sometimes you don't know the support you have until you need it. It's like being introduced to something, you don't know it exists until you're exposed to it. And sometimes not having a male in the house, I became that father that I was missing as well. Because now I'm like, no, I got to show up. I have 4 kids and 2 that we adopted. So I got 7 grands and I rock out with them. That's why I still go hard in the paint, so to speak. Because to defy the odds, sometimes you got to be the odd beater. You got to go outside of your comfort zone. And sometimes you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm not always comfortable in the arenas that I walk in. I sit on certain boards that I may be the only black face there. So it's like, then you have that sense of belonging. Or the imposter syndrome. I'm not supposed to be here.
Right.
Clearly, I'm in the wrong room. But then I see the work that I did, but the support I've had. Like I say, for me, my children rock out with me. Like I got a couple sons that be like, yo, Dad, I'm on the block. Where you want me at? And then I got them to say, listen, that's not how we get it. We learn to diversify even in the family. Like we have businesses within the family because we wasn't taught to own nothing.
Right.
We was taught to rent and be okay renting.
Be okay with it, right.
Right now we own 3 homes. That's not a brag, but it's just to say that you come out of nothing.
I hate that we have to say that's not a brag. It's an accomplishment.
No, it is an accomplishment, but
It's an
brag.
accomplishment, but
It's an
yeah.
accomplishment,
Yeah,
but
I hate that
also
we have to say
brag,
that,
you know,
yeah.
because in this economy, okay, owning a home is not an easy thing. And then coming from where you come from, you know, is definitely like, that's an accomplishment, but, you know, brag.
Especially in our communities, man, where we pass project apartments down through generations. So
Sad.
that's definitely a celebration, man. I definitely applaud you
Housing
on
in
that.
general.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had a question because you had just mentioned, and I know you said diversify and things like that, but your position currently with the city of Jersey City is what, sir?
I am the director for the Office of Diversity and Inclusion for the City of Jersey City.
So, you know, that's a very, very important role. And I think people don't understand is like when it comes to, you know, positions of power and stuff like that, it's always good to see people in a position, you know, that actually do, you know, represent diversity and represent inclusion, things like that. Now, you know, how many people do you find in the same kind of position as you?
Currently, you know, when I first came on, I didn't see too many black males in leadership roles.
Yeah.
Recently, they hired a couple more black men,
Yeah.
which is great. But I say it like this: we don't know things exist and we don't see it. We can't mimic it. We don't see leadership that looks like us. We can't attain it because we don't see it. We're not exposed to it.
Yes.
So right now, me coming into it, people like, oh snap, you're a director for the city of Jersey City. I love Jersey City. I'm born and raised. I'm never going nowhere. That's my heart. But I want to see people get a fair shot. So we look at the disparity, we look at the inequality, we look at the social justice, we look at the things that people are scared to talk about, but
Yeah.
that's the elephant in the room.
Well, it's definitely, I mean, so I try to look at everything from, you know, not just a qualitative point of view, but a quantitative one. So we have over 3,000 people and, you know, working for the city. So 3,000 people working for the city. I believe that based off of Jersey City's published statistics, we have less than 13% of those being, of African American descent, which doesn't represent the, overall population as a whole. So how hard is it when it comes to diversity, or is those numbers not reflective of what's going on currently?
Well, they are, I guess, I don't know the numbers like to
Yeah.
the letter, but what I'm saying, there is a disparity.
Yeah.
You can look at it and see that,
Absolutely.
but under this administration, and I say I've only been here in the city 5 years, so
Okay.
I see a trend, and I see more African American, Hispanic, in leadership roles.
Okay.
Which I've never seen in the whole Jersey City. So there are trends, but it's not happening fast enough.
Agreed.
And
Definitely.
And this is one of the things that that I've started. I have a Black Male Initiative that I just had the first meeting with NJCU, Hudson County Community College, St. Peter's, in the city, that we're going to push education, working for government, because there is a Black Male Initiative. I did my dissertation on too few Black male educators.
Yes.
But what about too few Black male leaders, politicians,
Right.
this doctors, lawyers?
Right.
We have to start pushing the needle, but sometimes we gotta be the ones to be the catalyst. We can't wait for
Wait for
someone to
someone
come
else,
get you.
right.
Sometimes you gotta be that. And if I happen to be that, I happen to be that. But I just want a team. I'm always team oriented. How do we get there? Not how do I get there? How do we get there? Because I got grandsons that I need them to see that it's a
Right, right.
possibility.
Right.
So you're setting the example.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, and I applaud you on that, because that's the great markings of a leader, to understand that you have to take that initiative. You have to be the first, right? That's one of the problems that we suffer from. We always sitting back and waiting for, because ain't nobody ain't never giving me. I'm just looking for my shot. Sometimes you got to steal a ball and take the shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, there's people who actually do. It's just that sometimes you're in environments which isn't conducive to thrive. Jersey City being one of those. I'll say it outright. We look at our demographics here in Jersey City. We know that there's an inequality issue here. So, we're
Well-
talking about diversity.
Well,
You're
clearly,
in
that's
law enforcement.
That's why
Yeah.
his position is what it is, because
Yeah.
But-
there definitely is a need.
Yeah,
even
what I'm
more
saying
so-
is, as far as, and I apologize.
No, no,
Erica.
no, no, no.
What I was going to say was, and you're definitely, the need will always be there, but what if people don't want to leverage their talents in environments that have been traditionally hostile environments?
Right.
We're saying something like, like law enforcement in general. We
Yeah.
have, 9 sheriff officers that are black and
There's
that
research
retired?
to support
Yeah.
that too.
Right.
There needs to be initiatives. We had one black captain when it comes to the fire department
Yeah.
until recent years, and now we're starting to see that. But we're
Right.
talking about Jersey City was incorporated in February 22nd of 1840.
Right.
We're now seeing people of color in this city,
Yes.
now start to
Being-
reach,
being
that
There was
the
only,
first
let's not
leadership.
forget there was only
Being
one
the
black
first.
mayor.
Yeah, only
Right.
one.
Only
I mean,
one
and-
black mayor who wasn't
yeah.
even able to fulfill his
Right.
term because,
Right.
he had an untimely passing.
Right.
Don't
But
need at public events.
you
Sorry.
talk about the equality issue, but what about the equity issue? One of the problems that we face in this city is you don't have the means to attain certain things. Like you talked about the disparities. So
Right.
what do you do in your position to aid in that, to helping people, get the means to become successful or to reach those rooms that you say you don't see enough black faces in?
So I've learned the partnership.
Okay.
Our partnership with Hudson Community College, our partnership with JCEDC, our partnership with NJCU. And how I do this is because I have a database of minority-owned business, LGBT minority women-owned, and I'm always trying to get them more information. And sometimes, for the lack of understanding, they are scared to deal with government. So that goes across
Yeah.
the board.
Right,
So
right.
to see a familiar face is almost like, okay, let me see what he's gonna say. And so I could get in a room to have these conversations to educate them. And I think anytime anything changes, it's through education. It's not always a formal education. We gotta remember there's a few different ways that we educated.
Absolutely.
So by educating the guys on the block, being able to go say, listen, this is you're better than this. I see you're talented. What are you passionate about? I like doing my own T-shirts. On your own, because I've dealt with substance abuse. I'm a certified alcohol and drug counselor. So I've dealt with people who've had those problems, issues, and they don't believe that nobody's giving me a job. Sometimes you have to create your job.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to be that.
Absolutely.
Instead of waiting for a handout, ask for a hand up. This way you can do differently. And I remember working at Pepsi Cola Corporate America, and the guy, Caucasian guy, says, "Listen, I want to give you a piece of the pie." I said, "No disrespect. I don't want a piece of the pie. Give me the ingredients."
Ooh, yes.
Because you might like pumpkin, I like sweet potato pie.
Facts.
So my palate is different.
Right.
So you can't give me what you think I need. Sometimes my need is greater than what you're able to do or what you want to do. And sometimes I've had conversations and I have no beef with no one, but I am my own man. And at the end of the day, they was like, "You work for the city. The city has done nothing to me, but I made my way. No one gave me anything.
You worked for it.
But through education, I had to go another route.
Yeah, you
I
did.
wasn't skilled with the basketball or the football, but I was smart enough to know that books open up many doors and avenues. But I also say, when I alluded to the fact, it's partnership. Talking to people who don't look like you, but able to sit at the table to break bread with you, to expose you to different things, and now you take it and make it yours. We're so used to, and to your point, Colin, give me something. Don't give me, just let's have a conversation. Let's talk. Because when I walk away, I have to educate a lot of people.
Right.
My family, most importantly. So if I'm doing the right thing and I'm getting the right information, even if you give me the wrong information, Rob, I know it's not right for me.
Facts.
Every moment is a teachable moment. It's how you interpret that information and how you take it and disseminate it. So a lot of times we always, oh man, I'm trying, the man got me down. I never met the man. Me personally, I don't know who the Joneses and the man is.
Yeah.
Keeping up with them, and the man got their foot on my neck. I don't know him or her or them.
Right.
But what I learned is that I know the Jeters, I know my wife, I know my kids, I know my family, I know who I know looks like me, but also my family is diverse. One of my grandsons is half Italian, half black, so it's going to be a mixture of everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But the one thing I tell anybody, I treat everybody like a human being. If you're a human being, we could talk. It's not a black or white issue for me, it's a human issue.
Yeah.
See, that's where we get caught up at. I can't get caught up. I'm too old to get caught up. I've been through some things. I've been through being hate mail from corporate America.
Yeah.
They send me crazy messages. So I've been through some stuff that
Crazy
people,
messages as it relates to you
as a black man.
as a
the
black
other,
man.
With the other word.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so
yeah.
I've seen that. I've been both on that end and saying, wow. But I stuck to it because why? I have a family to feed. So I can't get caught up in emotions. And sometimes as black men, we are told to be emotionless.
Right.
We're not supposed to cry. But that's the worst thing you could tell me.
Right.
Because we have mental issues. Oh, don't talk about it. I'm doing a mental health board for Black History Month from the city. We're gonna have a mental health discussion panel. That haven't been heard of.
No.
That haven't
Right,
seen.
right.
But
That's
from
important.
from a black perspective.
Right.
So,
What groups are you partnering with for the mental health?
well, I sit on the mental health board for Hudson County.
Okay.
I sit on Hudson County.
So you wear a lot of hats.
I sit on
Yeah,
Hudson
you
County
do.
Mental
Yeah.
Health
Yeah, you
Board.
gotta- yeah,
Hudson County
do your-
Presidential Advisory Board for Diversity Equity for the college. I
Nice.
sit on
Yeah.
Hudson County Planning Board. I sit on Hudson County Cannabis Advisory Board for Hudson Community College. So I got my hands.
So that's how you make your connections. Sitting on these boards, you meeting with different people, and you're able to make these connections to make the change that you make underneath your position.
But let me tell you something, sis, and Queen, I tell you no lie. It's when they know that I'm educated, because they give me a lot of information, but as soon as they like, oh, he has a little education. Because a lot of times when you show up in the room, you're on these boards, they don't know. So now they announce it, it was like, they're a little taken back. Now, how do we approach him? Because we've been saying this all the time.
We had our game plan already because we already sized them up. You know what I mean?
Oh, he got on Jordans and a hoodie. He gotta be this.
Facts.
Yeah.
I mean,
Judging
and
a
nothing
book
wrong
by
with
its
that, by the
cover.
way.
I'm a sneaker-
Use it to
I'm
your
a-
advantage.
I'm a sneakerhead. I'm gonna wear sneakers.
Use it to your
I wear
advantage.
suit and sneakers. But the idea is don't get caught up in what you see, because they've been fooling us for so long with what perspectives.
Right.
But
It's
when you
intimidation.
telling you what you're supposed to be.
It's intimidation for the
I don't,
for a lot of
I
us.
can't,
Yeah.
I can't get in when you want me to fit in. I gotta do my own thing. And I've learned to trust myself. But sometimes when you're the only self in the room, that's a hard one.
And you know, it's funny you say that because in leadership, with a lot of, you know, African Americans being in the role of leadership, they always feel as though they're alone.
Yes.
Oh,
I mean, but yes,
Right.
it's not very many of them, so, so it makes sense.
But my thing is, right, like it'd be great to be able to have not necessarily an organization, but you know, maybe something to where you have, you know, black local leaders.
Well, you-
I would say.
Oh,
You
what
have
is-
some.
I was gonna no. You
name.
have more than
Yeah,
just
but they're not really
some.
that effective.
Ooh.
I don't think they're effective.
We touching on something here, child.
I'm
They're not.
serious. They're not effective because they're not breeding the leadership we need to start change.
There's a
Like,
Jersey
all of
City
the
Black
things-
Caucus. I'm
all
just
the things-
saying
all
there
the
is,
things I
but where
hear
are
you.
they effective? No, I'm
Right.
agreeing with you.
Yeah,
I'm
and,
agreeing with
and
you.
listen, and there's nothing disrespectful
Yeah.
what I'm saying right now.
Right.
But what I'm saying is I've known of them being in existence before, but where are they now? You know what I mean?
Isn't
We are
B.L.E.S.
now.
a collection of
Absolutely.
individuals coming together who represent a black fraternity
Absolutely.
and push diversity and
Abs-
things and
absolutely.
inclusions as well? Doesn't
Yeah.
it start there?
I
was going to say,
I was going to
Yeah.
touch on that. But one of the reasons you know this, Ra,
Yeah.
that we stepped in the forefront and did what we did because we was reaching out to everybody.
We were being persecuted,
Right.
let's be honest.
And to be honest with you,
Yeah.
the only people that was there
Yeah.
in our reach out that were responding to us and took us under the umbrella and treated us like mentors was 100 blacks in law enforcement. Who cares?
Yeah.
We had to go across the water
To New York, yeah.
to New York and Harlem. You know what I mean? To really get somebody to actually mentor us and give us the guidance that we need. And that wasn't afraid to be leaders and leadership and broke us down. So, like, when I hear you speak, right, it makes me feel comforting that, okay, you know, we have somebody that's willing to lead, and not only that, is willing to show you the way. Opposed to saying, I'm the director, I'm up here by myself, I want to be here by myself, and I don't want nobody else around me that look like me.
No, and contrary to what you were saying, I think sometimes, and I'm just giving, this is my to your disclaimer.
But I was just about to say, this is
This
the
is my
disclaimer.
personal thing. Sometimes we have to come back to people who wasn't receptive of us at the beginning. See, we can't get so bothered by what others have done in the past because transformation. Look at me as a living example. You can transform and you can then have those conversations. Now that your B.L.E.S.C is here, you're like, wow, they sticking to their guns. Now maybe we could talk to them. See, sometimes we gotta go back a couple times before we could get it right, or before those people want to see you. 'Cause
Yeah.
everybody don't really want to see you succeed.
Yeah, I don't
that-
exist from that space because
But see,
I
Rob, but you're a different guy.
yeah.
but the other thing
Yeah.
is, and Rashid, this is kind of to your point when you said, you know, where are the black organizations? Yes, we have B.L.E.S.C, and there's a sprinkling. It's like, you know, what we had earlier today, a flurry. But I think the problem is with black people, everybody wants to be the head and nobody wants to be the tail. And I see that a lot in organizations where people are fighting for attention. They're fighting for the accolades. You know, they don't want to do the work, but they there for a photo op. You know what I'm saying? But in other organizations, you see the Hispanics, they stick together. And you see the leader and you see the hard work, you see the camaraderie. Italian, same thing. Irish, same thing. But for some reason, when it comes to black people, you'll have an organization that's thriving good, and then you got people that are fighting to get to the top. You know, that crabs in the barrel mentality. They're pulling everybody down. And it's like everybody wants there is a leader, there is somebody in the forefront. Then you got the whispers, you got the people fighting against the leader. You know, it too, Brute. You know, they defeating the Caesar.
You know what? And not to interrupt, Colin, I understand that. I kind of value what you just said. No, I value what you said. However, if I start to keep that same mentality, like when you guys asked me to be on the show, I was like, I don't need to be on the show. And Rod just remind me, I did stuff years ago. I stay under the radar. And anybody that rocks with me, really, I promote them. Because
You're an anomaly.
but you know what it is though? But no one gave me a chance. So I become that chance. I become that hope dealer. Now I'm selling hope. Listen, use me to get where you need to be.
Right.
And I believe in building a team. And sometimes my team don't have to look like me, but to take my spirit. And sometimes I don't think, and I say for me, I have to be different because there are so many things that I've witnessed and gone through that has made me cry at night.
Right.
You know, and just say, like, listen, I don't have nobody that look like me.
Right.
But to your point, you guys had to step out to show them that it's possible.
Right.
So we keep saying it's not possible. The more we say it's not possible, we begin to take on self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna. And
That
then we
is-
start to
right.
live that way.
Right.
And it's going to,
Right.
if you manifest it, it
Yeah.
will
Right.
definitely
Right.
come into
Right.
Speak to
fruition.
the water.
So,
It becomes your.
We talked
Right,
about
comes your
that.
reality.
Yeah,
That's right.
give it life.
Yeah, it
So
definitely does.
we gotta change those narratives.
Right.
And if you remember when I first started, our beginnings don't dictate our endings. Where we
right.
start is not where we're gonna finish.
Agreed.
But it's what we have to do. And sometimes people not willing to fight, right?
No.
You know, Ryan.
Most times.
No.
Most times people not willing to fight.
No. Listen, you probably got us three that's willing to fight, but we got 300 that's not willing to fight.
I'm
That's true.
gonna tell you
That's true.
again. I mean, you know, being one of the founders of B.L.E.S.C and as well as Brother Chambers, you know, we band together because we were one of the only few, a group of 10 out of 300.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Willing to stand up for ourselves. That's what I came from. Oh, y'all better not go down into that freeholders.
Facts.
Oh,
Y'all gonna get fired.
you sound like Massa.
Oh, Collie Moore, you better stop. You better not say nothing.
Facts.
And see where others and even now, like, okay, I learned how to be able to get my point across or to be able to articulate in the right atmosphere. I had to tone myself down a little bit.
I mean, you had
You know
to
what
go
I mean?
through that in
Right.
order to even,
Right.
yeah. So
Because
yeah.
Is that a bad thing?
Because
And I'm just saying.
well, I would say
For
that
the end result. And
Right.
just say for your
and
kids.
I had to learn.
And your kids,
I had to
you-
learn that because what's the sense of being able to make all the noise outside the room and nobody
Invite you
worthy to
Invite
hear
you
it?
inside.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes no sense, and I had to learn by going through something.
Now, I'm going to touch on something here. Now, I'm going to take what you said, right? And I'm going to put a little sauce on it because a lot of times when you acquiesce, when you have to do that, when you have to adjust who you are, people start, you know, looking at you like, you know, oh, you're affiliating with this person. And like you said, you deal with people that might not always look like you. And then you got people whispering like, oh, you are Uncle Tom, or you doing this. Or you
Uncle
doing
Tom was the hero in that story.
I'm just, but it's a
that.
term.
Well,
that
I
is
know.
coined.
You're right. You're right.
You know, the way people refer to that term is not a positive thing.
No.
So when you hear that, because a lot of times, like you said, you got your picket signs on the other side of the door. How you gonna get a seat at the table? Although Shirley Chisholm did say she don't need a seat at the table. She gonna build her own table. So that's what I want to see. I'm the radical. I'm not done. Give me a minute. Let me just. I'm almost done.
Hurry up.
I'm the radical, right? I want to build my own table. I want to work with my people, and I'm not saying that I'm not open to making the relationships with other people, but I want to see more of us getting together and building our own table, having our own so that we can then reach out and continue to build because that's what's wrong with us. That's why
Both
we have
things
to
can
constantly
exist
Both
at the
things
same
can
time.
exist.
Yeah, it can, but
both
how?
things can.
What-
Well,
how?
I mean,
Here's the
because
thing.
there's historical evidence of it. You do not get, you know, a movement like Martin's without the threat of Malcolm.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it is
Right.
what it is. Now, one might not be as mainstream as the other,
Right.
and one actually might be targeted. I mean, in
Right.
this case, both of them were.
Right.
What I'm saying is I just hate when people like, and not to take anything from it, you're absolutely right. That is needed. There's also, you have to have somebody in the, who is capable of speaking the language of people when it's time to sit
Agreed.
down. You know what I mean? And
Agreed.
people have to do that. I don't really care if I, like, as long as our ideals align,
Right.
you know what I mean? How we get to this point is how we get to this point. So
Right.
with yours, with diversity, all right, fine. You sit down with other people and you come together because there's no such thing as permanent friends or permanent enemies.
Right.
There's only permanent interest.
Right.
True.
We have to come to, the best entry of whatever it is that we're fighting for. And
Right.
if it's diversity, then that's what we're doing.
Right.
My biggest issue with diversity as a whole is that when we're talking about diversity, we're often talking about spreading diversity at one tier and not another tier. So we're looking at pretty much the leadership in Jersey City. I don't see that it's reflected.
Of the diversity in the
the
city.
diversity. And there's always totes. Jersey City, one of the most diverse places in the, but until we're talking about power and when we're talking
Yes.
about equity.
Right.
And
Yes.
unfortunately, we haven't gotten there. So for me to say that, oh, I raised, like my kids are all grown up, 18 years old, they're doing what they're doing, but my kid is still in the 7th grade. I should not be promoting the fact that I raised up a good kid when I know that there's still developmentally held back because I didn't do enough. And that's my biggest issue with
Right.
diversity. I want to see it reflected in positions of leadership. Right
Yes.
there.
Right.
I know
The
you spoke
hierarchy.
the hierarchy.
Right.
So the positions that you're talking about, bringing these brothers together and things like that, what is the overall goal? Is leadership a part of that goal?
And I see, and this is in my head, I envision, once they're in the room, once they're talking, once they're educated, once they see what they like, sometimes people don't know what's available.
Yes.
Because they have been told that it's not they're not at the table, so they can't eat. To your point, sis, yes, you can eat, build your own table, but sometimes we have to be in the room to be able to talk the talk and walk the walk. I'm able to go in different arenas because I position myself. I don't have a team, like I didn't have a bunch of guys like, yo, go be a doctor. Because when I told them I'm in school, they're like,
Yep.
you're in school again? What you? Because
Yo, you can
we
go to
don't
school
think
all
that's
your
a-
life.
Yes.
Are you gonna go back? You gonna get something else?
There is nothing else to do.
You could get another doctorate now.
But I got, and I have a bunch of
You have
alphabets.
a master's,
I got a master's, but I'm also a certified alcohol and drug counselor. So I'm opening up a substance abuse home. These are things that until they see somebody doing it, Ron, your passion is there. But
Yes.
sometimes we got to take the initiative to make it happen.
Yes.
We
You're
can't
absolutely
always
right.
go by the past because the past, things change.
Right.
History bound to repeat itself and we don't take lead on what happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
To your point, diversity, okay, this has happened. This has sucked up
Yeah.
until now. Okay, let's see what Jeter gonna do. Let's see if, let's get behind something now as opposed to always looking at what already happened. Because
Yeah.
we
You can't dwell there. I just
You
don't
can
like the
visit,
idea
though.
of because you can't ignore it.
No.
Right.
It's ever present.
you have to
but
acknowledge it,
dwelling in
right.
that space
Right.
is just ungood
Right.
for the spirit. to be honest.
I always say that there's nothing wrong with being emotional. Just don't live in your emotions. You know what I mean?
True that.
That's
True.
it.
Yeah.
You know
I
what
hate
mean?
emotion in men,
Emote and
but
let it
okay.
go. No, but
I don't
I'm
mind
just saying.
tearing, but I hate
Right.
emotion in men.
But but unfortunately, I had to learn again
Yep.
that these things I had to learn how to not so much accept for others, but be able to understand. Because I'm like, yo, I'm not made like that. Why is he crying? Like, what is wrong with you? But it does nothing because now once you present that to them, they shut down on you, and now you're non-productive. There's no way that you can move forward in doing anything.
I tell you this, on Thursday nights, I go to the cigar spot. It's all different men in there. And what I've learned in this space is that men just want to be heard across the board.
Yeah.
And here, but you have different walks of people. But when we're there, we're all brothers. We all want to talk about how do we make it happen? How do we do for our family? How do we provide? How do we be conducive in society? How do we make things happen? Connie Moore, you probably have a different way of approach, right? But what I'm going to take from the both of you from this meeting, like, okay, I can be radical to a certain degree, but I got to be strategic. So what I'm going to take, I'm going to be strategic and intentional on how I move.
Right.
Because iron's only sharpen iron. I can't be the one who does it by myself.
Right.
But I know, and like I say, my cigar brothers, they'll rock out with me. And they don't all look like me, but you know what it is? Sometimes you need that to move the needle.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And Rod, I love what you're saying because now I'm like, okay, it's a way to think about things.
Yeah.
But we can't get caught up in being mad about
Yeah, you
stuff
just
that
can't-
has
yeah,
happened.
right, just can't,
Because
yeah.
we can't. I'm 55 years old.
Right.
I want to see. I'm promised 120. I want all mines.
Yes.
Right.
That's me personally.
Right.
All right,
But-
all right, speaking Bible,
But,
okay.
love it, yeah.
however, we have to start saying what we are. Kind of more to what you said. So as a man thinketh, so is he.
That's right.
So I think better of me, but I see better. Sometimes we don't always know, but what we see, we like, oh, we talk about it. Kids mimic what they see. People
Mimic what they see. Yeah, it's human nature.
Exactly. To the sisters, we got to start talking life to things.
Right.
Because those things that were dead is dead if we don't speak life to
life
them.
into it,
Sometimes someone spoke life to me. They say you're better than what you say or you think or what you've been told. So those things have motivated me, and that's why I rock out with everybody. God, you know me. I could go anywhere.
I think
get
you
a
have
buffet.
to though.
Right.
You have to be able to
Right.
walk amongst
How
crowds
many
and
years ago that
maintain
was?
the common touch.
We was
right.
in.
That was like 6 years ago, by the way. Yeah.
And we've been,
Yeah.
I've been an advocate for us. And I don't stop being black because I meet with others. I'm still with my black agenda.
Yeah. Right.
Within
But I
those
love
rooms.
that. But I love
Yeah, I
that.
think that there
Right,
should
right,
it should
right.
not
Always
be
be.
confused at all.
Right.
But I'm
it should
glad
not be
that you
confused.
said that because oftentimes some people don't have that mentality. Some people will get into these other rooms and forget their brothers and sisters, their black brothers and sisters. So for you to say that, yeah, you're in these other rooms, but at the end of the day, you're in those rooms so that you can bring your black people
Right.
along with you.
Right.
And I think that that's an important notion
And it is,
to point out.
Agreed.
and moving,
Definitely
and also moving into the same, conversation, but in a different direction.
Yeah.
We want to mention again tomorrow, standing by our president, Anthony Smith, bringing Smitty back, to the community. As we discussed in our prior show, Brother Smith was moved from his position as actually being one of the first
Community relation officers from the Hudson County.
Hudson County Community Corrections and Police, and he did an outstanding and amazing job. During his duration he's there, the kids are missing him, the teachers are missing him, the staff is missing him, and we want to rally behind him on trying to see if we can get the brother back in that position. We've been we supporting him because he support the community, and his work actually speaks for itself. He's in high demand, and we was hoping that instead of him being removed, that this could have been a pilot for more things to come. As him being a vanguard of being able to be the mentor there.
Yeah.
And and so we want to run up as much support as we can for him. There's going to be a meeting tomorrow. Erica, can you give them the address and the time, please?
Tomorrow at 4:30 p.m., tomorrow, January 26th, at 4:30 p.m., there is a commissioners meeting at 567 Pavonia Avenue, Jersey City, New Jersey. I think it's just important to note that when you're talking about diversity and inclusion,
Inclusion.
yes, that's
Keyword.
why I'm
Yes.
emphasizing that diversity
Yes.
and inclusion. To have someone in that capacity, right, that a position that has never happened before, at least from the county jail standpoint. I've just found out recently that there are community relations officers from Jersey City Police Departments in the 4 districts, right?
Who?
I don't know who, but I hear that hold up. I hear that they're females, right?
Oh, okay.
They're females, right?
Who?
But I want to know what they do in their capacity, right? I know what Anthony did, right? And I'm not saying that they're not doing anything. I
Not
don't
at
want to.
all.
I don't
Not
want
at
to
all.
put that
Right.
energy
Yeah.
out there. I want to talk about, like what you said, coming together, right? So that there can be a united front, because there's a lot going on in our community. So I don't want to say that, these women are not doing what they're supposed to do. What I am saying is that whatever they're doing, the connection that Anthony can make with them together, had he, not been taken from his position, would be just tremendous. So we're gonna support
the
him
work will
tomorrow.
continue.
Yes,
Right, of
the work
course.
will
The work
continue.
will
And shout out,
regardless.
to Bless, particularly JB. And the reason why I'm shouting him out is because the people at the school that I work at come up to me all the time telling me how much they miss Anthony's presence, but they are happy that JB is showing up. So I do want to shout out Vice President JB and all of the other Blessed members who stepped up.
Officer Rose,
Officer
Daniels,
Rose, Chauncey, DJ Chauncey B, who come to 15 for the mentoring program,
Right.
who come to 34 to just be there because that presence is lacking. So please come out tomorrow, January 26th at 4:30 p.m. 567 Pavonia Avenue, and just show your support because we would really like to see Anthony back in his position as the community relation officer and connecting with JCPD to make a difference because there are Jersey City police officers in Bless as well. So you're making that connection in your organization. We need to make that connection in a professional way as well in terms of the positions.
And again, guys, when we speak, we actually, me being a believer, I would say we speak in peace because that is the language of God. So we want you guys to come in peace. I mean, we're going to take a peaceful stand and respectful stand. However, we just want to be heard and knowing that, we want these things to be done.
Do I have a minute? The president asked me to just read his comment.
Go ahead. Then we're going to close it with you.
I don't know what he was referring to, but that's for a weak president. If you're trying to pull me down, I'm always going to pull up, always. And then he makes a comment to you specifically. He's apologizing to you because you deal with B.L.E.S.C, so you got tremendous hate. He's saying people hating on you because you deal with B.L.E.S.C, and we did discuss that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
What happens when you're in the fight?
Well, let me tell you something, man. I'm always war ready. You know what I mean?
You know that.
I never ran from a fight. Never.
You know
will.
that.
You know what I mean?
You know that.
Being from the bottom. Let me tell you something about being from the bottom, right? Once you've been at the bottom, there's no lower you can go. So there's nothing that you can possibly do that I'm not going to be able to come back from. So I'm not concerned about that. Like I said, man, we blessed strong for a reason. You know what I mean? And I like to say, man, I was a part of Blessed when it wasn't popular.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? When we was shunned, when we was called the new Black Panthers.
When
and-
doors were
you know what I
being
mean?
closed.
Yes.
When
yeah,
you
all
were
the
were
time.
out on the other side of the door with your picket.
Absolutely.
Literally.
Yes. Literally. So again,
Yeah.
shout out to everybody a part of Bless. And again, we stand behind, Anthony Smith and Bless Strong. Brother Jeter, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Can you give your closing remarks?
Yes. I want to thank you guys for making me feel at home.
You are. Yeah, definitely, brother.
I want to shout out to my family. I can't do anything without them, and that's just my motivation. Especially, sometimes women who have grown with you sometimes don't get the accolades, and we all. I'm the first to admit I don't get it right all the time.
Right.
But the one thing about me, I believe in unity. I believe in Black family love. I
Amen.
believe in what we do, but I also believe in just the unification of people.
Yes.
Agreed.
Because I don't think no one is an island, and I think sometimes we get it confused
We get into it a lot.
from the hate
Yeah.
and the things. Sometimes we brought up, and when you talked about it, if you live in a chaotic environment, you become chaotic.
Yes.
Agreed.
Because you become a product of your environment. And your environment would change you before you change it.
Right,
So sometimes it's best to be exposed, and my kids, especially my daughters, they rock out with me. And sometimes we forget, and I say as a Black man, that we need that woman to believe in us.
Amen to that.
I
totally
say it.
agree.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
They
I
say
live
bu-
it. I believe it. Shout out to my queen as well. Love you.
Yes. Behind every man is a strong
Facts.
woman, okay?
Facts.
And just before we go, I know we're kind of out of time, but you spoke about an event that you're having, Black men and mental health. Could you
Yes.
just please give us some information? I think that that's an amazing thing to have, and to just say that Black men need to express their emotions. And Kali always talks about the importance of checking in on people in the mental health. So could you just speak to that really briefly?
With the city, I've personally, the city never had an ERG, so I just started 3 ERG, men of color, women of color, and strategic employee resource groups.
Okay.
So, but for Black History Month, we're going to do mental health from a Black person's perspective. So, because we deal with things differently,
Yeah.
and sometimes, remember the saying, Rob, what goes on in my house stays in my house.
Mm-hmm.
That has been
yeah.
so detrimental
It
to
has.
us.
Yes.
So now we're saying, speak out, talk to somebody. I'm on somebody's couch anytime I'm stretching out. I'm telling you,
Listen.
because it's unloading that barrier.
I didn't understand how fulfilling that was. You know, people who really know me, they know that I was the angry black man for a very long time.
No.
And,
Was?
and excuse me. And you know, through my process of healing,
He was on food.
through my process of healing, you know, I was able to abandon that to where now I speak love, peace, and hair grease. What that is?
Low piece in here.
What's
Chris.
that?
But
What's
to
that?
who? I
Huh?
never get that side of you.
Everybody, that's like me. I'm. Anywho,
That-
my point being is that he's absolutely right. It's great to be able to
Yeah.
feel free to sit on someone's couch, someone who's gonna be able to, you know, listen and not judge you. I would recommend that you not be drunk when you're accomplishing these things, and it's not done, you know, around people who you really know that's gonna try to use it against you.
Against you.
Because
That's
words
true.
are weapons. So, you know,
That's very
sometimes we
true.
can truly have the right conversation with the wrong people. You got to be mindful of that.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Everybody
Gotta
should
be
be
careful what you
privy
say.
to
Mhm, to
you
certain
know,
people.
yeah, to your feelings and your emotions and your
Because
words.
they could use it against you. You're absolutely
man.
right about
Words
that.
can be weapons. And
Can I say one more thing?
yes, sir.
Adam?
Yes, sir, big bro.
I want to just say, to a lot of times we don't realize that we have to start our businesses in our own, because we were told that you go work for somebody, then you attain stuff.
Right.
Right here,
Speak
I
in your
have
power.
one of my
Yes, please.
labels on. It's called Favorite Like No Other. But we have Joy's 360 booth. We have Family Affair Vending. We have Soprano Kicks. We have Just Wear. So my family is really about that, because we have to have streams of income.
Yes.
Sometimes a job can let you go tomorrow.
Yes.
So
It will.
you gotta always think.
Or you
ahead.
got somebody that's, vying for your position and might take it.
And one thing, we have something for the seniors called All About You Concierge. So everybody needs to understand that you are your talent, but you are your best cheerleader. And sometimes if your whole family cheering for you,
Right.
you can rock out, really. Kalimar, you know where we come from.
Absolutely.
So
man. Absolutely.
Taxes, by the way, if you have kids, that's an amazing idea, because you can write off at least $12,000.
$12,000, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
straight off. If
Yeah.
you have a business and you have children, get them activated. Get
Right.
them activated.
Yes.
There's no reason. a kid-
LLCs.
Yeah, they can have LLCs at their ages. They don't even need an LLC. They can get their EIN straight off, or their TIN. So yeah, definitely start
Y'all
pushing those
spitting
things out.
knowledge
Yeah.
today. That's
Definitely.
yeah.
Every one of my kids have their own LLC as well.
And that's a beautiful thing. And guys, again, I mean, we are here to inspire, uplift, encourage, inform, and sometimes entertain when Erica's not here. But
See what I mean?
Especially when Erica is here.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
So
This is the refined, reformed. whatever.
Any last words, good brother Ra?
Man, as always, for one, I just wanted to thank, because, like, I always consider you big brother, but I never really say elder. And just the energy that you bring into the room, whether you know it or not, you talked about walking into rooms and walking into those environments, especially those corporate environments. And I understand how difficult that is, definitely. But you have a presence and an aura that comes in and just lets me know that everything will be all right. I love the energy. So my final words would be to this man. And guys, definitely, we need to start paying attention, because I'm always about the matriarchs, but when we see, like, men that are actually doing it and stuff like that, let that be something that inspires you to do more. So
Absolutely.
thank you, brother.
Miss Bermudez, closing
Yes,
words.
absolutely. I just want to piggyback off of what Brother Ross said, because you don't see a lot of black men in leadership, a lot of black men with those letters behind his name. Dr. Jeter. So kudos to you, hats off to you and all your accomplishments and everything that you're doing for the city and all your endeavors. And thank you so much for blessing us with your presence on today. And let's not forget, tomorrow we supporting Anthony Smith, 567 Pavonia Avenue at 4:30 p.m.
And good brother Dr. Floyd Jeter, I want to definitely thank you for coming on the show. We definitely appreciate you. And I just want to say, man, mentorship and leadership is very important. I just want to shout out some of my mentors. Norris Gregory, Charles Maynard, Antoinette Green.
organization,
Yeah, man. I mean, I appreciate all the assistance and guidance and just the air that you've given me throughout the years. And and it was great having you on the show, brother Floyd. You're definitely a mentor through action, and your presence is always thankful. And the Black family want to applaud you. Give it up for Dr. Floyd.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on.
And as always, Blessed family, we want to thank you guys for joining. We hope you guys tune into the next show. Please come out, stand with President Anthony Smith. We definitely want to see you guys out there and support us tomorrow. Again, come in peace. And we want to thank all the other Blessed members that always watch the show, that views, that comments, that support us financially, with their presence as well. Shout out to Officer Galloway, shout out to Officer Daniels, and all the other Blessed members that's out there that's doing their part.
Yes.
And we appreciate you, Erica.
Peace and love.
All right, fellas. See
Till next
y'all
time.
next show.
Yes, next show,
Peace.
February 8th,
February 8th.
Black History Month. See you then.